Today, we're on a mission. We're going to the Public Service Commission Forum here in Mableton, South Cobb, and we're going to see what are they talking about, because that determines, can the government take your land, and can Georgia Power charge you what they want to charge you? Let's go. Here we are at the Public Service Commission Forum. Going to go through who all is here later, but let's see what they have to say. Here we are. We're all done with the meeting of the Public Service Commission Forum. We learned a lot. I'm here with Matt Stegall from A Better Cobb.
Hello, how's it going?
Glad he's here. There's a lot of people in attendance today, but not as many as we were hoping for because it was noon on a Thursday. But that's why I recorded and I'll be posting it and summarizing it for you. The main things that you need to know is that the Georgia Public Service Commission is having a public meeting in Savannah coming up on September 15th from 9:30 to noon. I'll include the details. You can submit your public comment, but you should try to attend in person and really start to voice your opinion about eminent domain, Georgia Power, and all the other things that the Public Service Commission does. The second thing is that there are loans available. I'll put links to the Georgia Environmental FA. I'll include the details. Money is available, you just have to know it's there. So, is there anything that you would like to say, Matt?
Yeah, I just have to say that, I didn't even know what the PSC was a couple of years ago. And, and I totally get it. And I totally get that a lot of people might have just heard about it or it might be new to them. And it is so important. And every time I go to one of these meetings, I learn so much, but I also learn just how complex it is.
Oh, yeah.
And so I know we all want lower bills, and I know we all want green energy, and I know, and it's really difficult for myself to really understand, how it's all tied and how it's all connected and all of that. And I'm trying to be educated for my vote in November.
Yep.
But it's very difficult.
It's a lot,
make
yeah.
a decision on that.
And you made a comment that you actually had a meeting this morning around the Cobb Basics, was it? Supporting birth to 5 years old?
Well, yeah, so it was basically House ATL had a kind of a Cobb-focused affordable housing, and Lisa Cubic came here to speak about her plans to make housing more.
I knew I should have been there.
Yeah, right? No, it was great. And then we had a roundtable discussion about how local residents or homeowners can be more energy efficient.
Nice.
But then I'm just looking at them like we're trying to convince local homeowners to invest in their properties and spend this money to bring down their bills. Why then we take that energy that was been saved and data centers use it up in such a gigantic way.
Yeah.
And it really helps that I don't know, I struggle with trying to connect those two sometimes.
Yeah, it is interesting. Even something as simple as terminology. There was one question was asked here, and it was said large load customer, and it was a bad word. They didn't want to say data center. But yeah, that's just part of the
understanding of the difference of what gigawatts mean whenever you hear gigawatts and what that is in scale to a single individual homeowner.
It's hard to even comprehend how much power that is. So, but yeah, on a last note, the only thing about Public Service Commission I forgot to mention is that they are responsible for your broadband internet. So if you use Wi-Fi, that's something else, but broadband is governed through the Public Service Commission. Again, I still have a lot more to learn. I'm going to be communicating that to you, accepting the fact that I'm not perfect and I don't know everything.
Yeah, I do want to add one thing too, is we keep hearing cost burdened, housing cost burden, energy cost burden, transportation cost burden, and all these bills are all adding up for so many families. And then we sit there and we talk 80% AMI, 120% AMI. The truth is,
what is even AMI for some area median income? If you don't know, AMI.
Yeah, but everyone I think is really struggling to be comfortable right now and trying to budget, because all the bills are piling up, all the bills are increasing, and it's just. Yeah, we're all at a break. And
there's very few people that are actually trying to reduce that cost instead of just adding more things to do for some. I mean, if it has a benefit, good, but some people are really just, I'm on a fixed income, especially if you're after retirement. It's a challenge. So, but hey, we're making a difference. We're trying to keep you informed. Go out to a Better Cobb event if you're here in Cobb County, and stay tuned for more announcements about what the heck I'm doing. Because yesterday I did a boxing workout where I almost broke down. But that is being transparent and vulnerable, and that's what I'm doing. So thank you so much for watching.
One battle after another.
One battle after another.
Showing up to the city council, we'll talk about sidewalks.
So now on my way to go talk to another guy involved with the Mableton Development Authority, and then we got a flock safety meeting tonight. So that'll be spicy.
Have fun with that one.
Yeah, really. Thank you. Good to see you.
All right, thank you.
You too. All right, just had a good meeting with a good friend from the Mableton Development Authority. So many details to setting up a nonprofit, coordinating with people, understanding logistics, timing, data, all of the things. So it's a big challenge ahead of me, but I'm very excited for it. I'm gonna learn a lot, and I'll talk to a lot of people, just like I think if I were to run for political office one day. There's lots of different people, a lot of different concerns, lots of interests. The finances behind it all, the process, existing people, existing organizations, existing interests. So all that to say, so many more conversations to have. I'm very excited to get home, to get a run in. Then I got the meeting later tonight for the flock safety, for the Cobb County Public Safety and flock safety. I'll see if I can record that. Not really sure what that policy is going to be like. Either way, I'll try to bring you there and we'll talk about it. Because here we are in 2026. Technology is only getting more integrated into our lives. And it's important for us, regular people, organizations, for-profit, non-profit, whatever they are, to have a conversation about like, okay, what is this that we're doing, and what are we moving toward to? What's our goal? Because yeah, there's a lot to that. So either way, gonna review, edit, make some progress. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you at the Flock Public Safety meeting. All right, here we are outside of Milford Creek Recreation Center at the first Flock Safety Cobb County PD information session. Let's see how spicy it gets.
The impact that it's had here, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to be able to share with you how we are utilizing it.
Our cameras do not operate with continuous video. And I'm not saying that those cameras can't operate as a video camera. I'm saying our cameras do not operate with continuous video. So it takes a picture of the car that goes by. It has to go through and use its technology, and it tries to determine what kind of car is this. So what color is it? What make? What model? What is the tag? What?
Chairwoman Lisa Cubic here, and just wanted to speak not only on behalf of myself, but other commissioners who have supported this last vote with respect to the use of technology, as there was a comment made about us voting before hearing this. This is not our first time hearing this. We've been utilizing this technology since 2019, and I in fact was the district commissioner of the area where we had the pilot. When we got the feedback of the impact that this technology was making for one of the most highest crime areas of the county, I could not believe it. For us, it looks like an intrusion. For many communities, to not be victims and recurring victims of crime, to be able to put your head down safely, it's a game changer that I could not deny. Now, when this was initially implemented, there were a lot of questions around the use of flock and technology. In fact, we had to answer a lot of questions, even a congressman from our community with respect to it. So please believe that we understand these concerns, we empathize with these concerns, which is why I'm here today, because we've had to answer them before and know that they're very real. But with the balance, not only the balance of being able to address crime, but the balance of keeping communities from being criminalized, to making sure that the person who's the bad actor is the one that's gone after as the criminal, is a game changer for communities that have felt the weight of common descriptions. And that's a very real fact for communities of color, for communities where crime occurs more, and for a community that I governed for 8 years. So I just wanted to respond to that remark, because this is something that we've weighed thoughtfully, we continue to, and even when we had a room of every person that spoke about flock telling us why we shouldn't, we could not deny how it has strengthened the ability of our police to address crime across this county and in communities where they felt as if they were perhaps not being supported by public safety in other ways of the county that have not had the same levels of crime. We've seen perhaps, and I say correlation, I'm not a salesperson either for certain technologies, but I will say that we've seen double-digit drops in crime areas year after year in certain communities. It's a very strong correlation that cannot be denied.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all for doing this. I really do appreciate you giving the public a chance to talk about this. I'm State Representative Gabriel Sanchez. I represent House District 42, which is right around the corner, surrounding our Hart Road, and includes most of Smyrna, South Marietta, and Cumberland. And I also come from a community of color, and I have very deep concerns about this technology. And I want to give you a negative case of what this technology was used for, which is Mahendra Patel. If you heard about him, he was falsely accused of a crime he never committed and was fully innocent. And Flock was used to find him and arrest him and keep him in jail for several months before he was finally released after it was found he was innocent. So this is, I think, a perfect example of the other side of the coin when you're talking about this kind of technology and the fact that giving this access to data to the government. I want to ask you, because there was a recent case in the Supreme Court, Chattree versus United States, that ruled that geofencing is unconstitutional under the Fourth Amendment. So I want to ask you how that does not indicate that this possibly is another avenue of which we're violating people's right to privacy under the Fourth Amendment by having this collection of data of all these cameras all around, because it's very clear that you're collecting the data even if they're not on the hot list. You're just not using it, but it's still there, which means it can be misused. And so I want to know how this is not a violation of people's right to privacy.
Absolutely. I kind of have two questions or two comments to come back on that. One, you can't conflate poor investigative work and poor law enforcement work with technology. If Flock literally provided some detective, some police officer somewhere a picture and a tag representation that it said was in an area at a moment in time, it took an investigator to ignore things that might have exonerated this individual to make a bad case that ended up putting someone in jail. There's not a judge in this county that I could go to and say, hey, the Quick Trip got robbed. 30 seconds later, this car drove past a Flock tag reader. I need to get a warrant for armed robbery. They would laugh at you and you would walk out of there. So the officer that made the case, don't conflate the use of technology with making poor law enforcement work, right? There's been poor law enforcement work going on since they've been law enforcement, right? There's people right now that are in jail that didn't do it because there's a poor case made, circumstantial evidence, whatever reason it happened, right? But so I don't really want to tie the two together, because technology should help the police in providing those leads, and like I said in here, but it should never be the concrete evidence or proof, because it's absolutely not, right? Other things have to go in and support that, and that comes from being a good investigator and a good police officer, right? So it can happen, you know. Second, the cell phone case that went through the Supreme Court, and of course we've used geofencing in Cobb County. So that cell phone case actually does impact how we do our job, and what the Supreme Court said. The difference in the cell phone technology and the geofencing is it was a surveillance of data that is protected different because it's a cell phone. Mm-hmm. Data that is protected different in the way that we were collecting the data of everyone and doing a surveillance inside a fenced area. So there's two court cases that have gone through so far. One is that I've seen is in the district court in Virginia. The other was in Louisiana, as I mentioned earlier. And those judges came back with a lot of very similar comments that they said, which was this: Flock technology in its current use, or LPR technology in its current use, does not provide enough information and enough data to say that it can actually track your movements, right? It takes a snapshot of you at a location and a place and a time, but then you're gone, and there's literally thousands of roads you could go down, and then you may pass another one later somewhere else, right? It's not a dense enough network is basically it. Now, something of interest that did come out of that, which I take as a warning because both judges had very similar comments. Something that came out of that was, what is the density of this network? What are the capabilities of this network? And could it become something that could track and surveil you through there? And they said, I may have a different opinion. Now, they ruled on behalf of the state in those and said that it was not doing that. It was not a Fourth Amendment violation. But I take that as a warning, and I take that as a warning for people like yourself who do work in our state and our legislators to come in there. What are guardrails that we can put in place so that the technology can still be used, but we stop it from becoming a surveillance and a tracking system? And that's a conversation that I know is taking place now, and I hope continues to take place, right? Because there's always going to be a breaking point as technology comes through. No one wants to live in a police state, right?
but we also want to balance the safety with the technology as it comes in. So how do we balance that to ensure people's civil liberties while balancing it out? Because if it does become a surveillance system, I'm pretty certain I feel the way that the Supreme Court would go. And I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but I can say, hey, that's bad. But also just as a person and as the chief of police in Cobb County that's responsible for implementing this type of technology, right? That's somewhere where I would draw the line, because I don't believe that's what we need to be effective. And I do believe it would be oppressive. So I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate your comment.
Thank you.
And I hope that you're working hard up there in the Capitol for us to draft out some great legislation.
Oh, trust me, I will. I'll be talking with you more. So
Thank you very much.
COVID, right? COVID a few years ago showed us how much the government cares for us, right? We couldn't go to church within a few days. We couldn't go to businesses, couldn't do whatever, because the government knows what's best for us. And using this system sets up the perfect system, just like China. I mean, this is like Chinese surveillance level. They use AI technology too. So I'm just curious, do you see my concerns with coronavirus a few years ago, how drastically that impacted our upbringing, our American patriotism?
I absolutely see exactly where you're coming from. And it is scary. Technology is scary when it's coming in. You know, the interesting thing about technology, and I can't take credit for this comparison, a man said, hey, when they invented the car, there were no traffic laws, right? They literally had guys driving a car through the town and horses jumping everywhere and running over the streets, and no stop signs, no red lights. There were no traffic laws. When the Wright brothers first flew, there were no aviation laws. Technology is coming the same. This technology is jumping in us really since the iPhone came online, but now with AI technology, it is truly something that we as a country have got to wrap our heads around and say, how are we going to control this? Because you don't want to live in that type of a state, or you don't want to be subject to that. And that's why you coming out tonight, these meetings that we're having tonight to talk about this technology, to talk about these concerns, is something that's vitally important for us as a nation, for us as individuals. It's important to have this. It's important for us to talk to our lawmakers, not just here in Georgia, but also nationally, for us to reach out to our senators, reach out to our congresspeople, right? We have to keep those lines of communication open. We have to talk to our communities and see how we're implementing that. And because it is a slippery slope. I watched The Terminator. I saw what happened with Skynet. And I'll tell you right now, I have fear of that coming through. And one day, hey, this stuff became aware, right? Can it be abused, especially by a federal government that comes in with some type of a sweeping law or sweeping control? And I think a lot of citizens, yourself, a lot of us included, feel the same, you know, and where do we balance that out, and how do we protect ourselves from that as a nation? And it's such a new thing right now. I think that this has finally brought that topic up, not just for LPRs. This is going to bring that topic up for all types of AI learning and AI control type things. It's going to bring that all together, and because this stuff is growing at a tremendous rate. And so keeping the conversations going, working with that, making sure that we, at least as a government, try to keep up is very important.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Hello, welcome. Here we are outside of the FERC Flock Safety Cobb County Public District Safety Meeting. It was a little spicy. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough time for everyone's comments to be heard. Unfortunately, as you can see in some of these clips, Commissioner Sheffield decided to come over me and tell me that I was disrupting the meeting.
Most of the times, tax your tax is pretty easy. It comes off, but if you're in an accident, you have to produce it. And I would tell them always.
Which, if I continue to disrupt the meeting, would lead to me being arrested. So, this is a very interesting time in my life because that's a very important thing for her to say to me. Yeah, let's just go with I'm not that happy about it. I'm still learning. I'm figuring things out. I look forward to having a conversation with you about it all in the future, with all of you about it in the future. But I really hope that you get engaged and you take this as an example of we need all of you, everyone, to voice their opinions, make a difference, make your community better. So, in summary, my day has been very interesting. I'm about to go home for a good workout, excited to wipe the slates clean with a good night's sleep tonight, and I will see you tomorrow.